What's up guys, this is Gongjo, and I just wanted to record a quick video about something that I've been experimenting with lately, and that is Revenant with the Havoc, and in particular Revenant using hipfire. Because the thing is, Revenant's passive allows you to crouch and move much more quickly than other characters, so that means you can take advantage of the kind of crouched accuracy benefits of certain weapons, while also moving at a considerably higher speed than other characters in the game. And with these two weapons I'm going to show in this video, I think it's particularly insane. And that is the Havoc and the Wingman. And just here in front of me, you can see the kind of accuracy you're getting with the Havoc aimed fire, which you can see is very accurate vertical shot, and then the Havoc hip fire, which it does sacrifice like a good deal of accuracy. But if someone's close to you, if they're in kind of R99 range and they're in the open, it's definitely worth taking your chances with this. Particularly because that the mobility you get when crouching is going to mean that they miss many more of their shots. And one thing with Revenant and his crouching movement is people just don't expect you to move that quickly. Obviously people know that Revenant moves more quickly, but they're accustomed to tracking people at certain speeds. People generally move to the maximum velocity they can in either direction. So they AD strafe, they let move left and right, and they move at the maximum speed. So when people are tracking, they're usually moving their analog stick to a certain degree. So when you suddenly have a character like Revenant, who's moving much more quickly in one direction, that can really throw people off. And here you can see on the dummy in particular, it really shreds. It really, for some reason, even though it seems inaccurate against the wall sometimes, even at this distance, which is about 15 feet, it really destroys the target dummy. So if you can be accurate with this in a match on a target, if you're up close between, I'd say 3 and 15 feet, then this is actually pretty viable as an option. I've been using this in games and easily beating out people using R99s and such. And the thing is, the Havoc has a good capacity right out of the gate, and then the Havoc also does a lot of damage per shot. So if you're just landing a few shots here and there within that capacity, then you're always going to down people, even if you're missing maybe 50% of the bullets in the magazine. At the same time, you're going to be very hard to hit compared to someone who's ADSing. Because the ADS movement penalty, say typically someone will be standing when using the Havoc, and they're going to ADS with that gun. And if you're using an R99 up close, you're going to absolutely shred that person because they've got something like an 80% movement penalty. They can barely move when ADSing. And if you're using like a Wingman or an R99, you can strafe very quickly left and right, make it hard for them to hit you, and you can down that person quite quickly. But if you are hip firing with something like the Havoc, you can really mitigate that disadvantage, and I think you can come up on top of most of those encounters. Like, this time to kill is insane right now. If you're seeing here, it doesn't hit every shot, but you see that dummy is going down very quickly at a reasonable range with the hip fire, while Revenant is also able to strafe very quickly. And that's because the benefit of hip fire accuracy, crouched hip fire accuracy, sorry, and Revenant's movement speed. And the second gun I want to talk about is the Wingman. And one thing that several players have noticed here is that if you're crouching with a Wingman, you can be incredibly accurate with the hipfire. It's almost as accurate as using the ADS. And again, this is very similar for Revenant here. You can keep that insane crouch movement speed while getting these pretty accurate shots. And with the Wingman, it's a bit more accurate than it is with the Havoc, but at the same time, there are still some disadvantages. Like, if you look at the spread here on the wall, you'll be able to see that the hip-fire crouch shots are a little bit more spread horizontally than the ADS shots. That means if you're going for headshots, I would say it's probably not worthwhile going for these hip-fire shots unless you're quite close to the target, because there's a good chance they fly to the left or right of the head of the person you're shooting at. But if you're going for body shots and you're at mid-range, it can be definitely viable to go for these hip-fire shots because you get that movement speed benefit, so less bullets are going to hit you. And that's the thing I think a lot of people forget about, is it's not just about your accuracy, but their accuracy versus yours, and anything you can do to reduce the chances of them hitting you is going to make a big difference in a gunfight. So here, obviously taking advantage of Revenant's crouch walk is going to make a sizable difference. Now, one thing I think is a little bit tricky here, especially on console, is that hipfire accuracy on console is, I would say, a little bit harder because console players benefit from the reduced sensitivity that comes with aim down sights. And that's how console players deal with their accuracy quite often. They use that as a kind of like a modifier of sensitivity so they can get more precise shots when they're ADSing. So on console, you might want to stick with aimed shots more often because I think you can be a little bit more accurate with those more consistently. But on PC especially, a lot of the time there's not going to be much reason for you to go for the ADS shots, particularly because not only do you get to keep greater movement speed, you can also see your target much better than you can with the iron sights. The wingman really kicks up in your way when you're shooting, and this is one of the pay to win wingman skins, and it still kind of gets in your way a little bit compared to hip firing, so there's definitely a strong advantage there to that. But obviously the sacrifice is that if you're going for headshots, it's probably not worthwhile. One thing I think is pretty useful is you can do some ADS shots and do some hip fire shots and kind of blend the two together, particularly if you think you're going to lose the target. Definitely don't be afraid to, if you're crouching with Revenant in particular, go for some hipfire wingman. Yeah, so these are the two weapons that I think really benefit the most from the crouch walking speed, at least in my own personal playstyle. If this is something you find useful, please remember to subscribe to my channel. This has been Gung Joe. Catch you in the next video.